call the meeting to order. Robin, you want to do your roll call?
Ms. Ross.
Here.
Ms. Nett.
Here.
Mr. McCoy.
Here.
Mr. Bass.
Here.
Mr. Dress.
Here.
Okay. So those be in the audience, if you're going to testify this evening, if you please raise your right hand so we can swear you in. Anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State, I do.
I do.
Okay, and when it's time to offer your testimony, we're going to ask you to restate your name, your address, and firm that you've been sworn in for us. Thank you. Ready?
Okay, our first case this evening is variance and conditional use case BACQ-26-04. The applicant is Tony Postorero for a property located at 6861 Vale Canyon Road. The zoning is farm residential. This is a request for both an area variance and a conditional use. The area variance is from section 7.01A of the zoning resolution to allow for an addition to encroach into the 25-foot side yard setback. The conditional use is to allow for an expansion of the existing conditional use for a place of worship. So again, seeking a conditional use to allow for expansion of the existing conditional use for a place of worship, which will include a new approximately 12,000 square foot addition with assembly space on property with existing place of worship, which was previously approved in 2016 by this board under case BACU-16-23. Site currently includes a building which currently serves as the place of worship, approximately 10,800 square feet, as well as an accessory structure, 1,200 square feet. The area variance specifically is for the addition to encroach to the north side of the existing church facility, encroach 5 feet into the 25-foot side yard setback. To the north is the Freedom Trail Elementary School, owned by the Orange School District Board of Education. To the south is an agricultural land, FR1. To the east is I-71. To the west is also FR1 and the metro parks, or not metro parks, preservation parks. History of the property I won't go through in detail, but again, previously granted a conditional use in 2016 to allow for the place of worship originally. As part of that request, the applicant was also granted a variance from sections 21.10 and 21.12D6 of the zoning resolution to allow for the construction of a church that failed to provide the required landscaping or screening near its perimeter. Conditional use of a monument sign was granted in April of 2020. And then a commercial permit for new construction was approved to allow for an accessory structure in 2023. And then we processed an exterior modifications permit for expansion of the parking lot in October of last year. On the following page, you can see the zoomed out aerial showing the property in Orange Township. You can see it's right up there, 171 off Vale Canyon Road. And then you can see the zoomed in view, so the parcels highlighted in yellow, existing facility there in the middle of the parcel. The proposed expansion would be to the north side of the existing building. So in terms of staff review, fairly simple. The conditional use what first this was something that we had asked legal counsel previously about. When conditional uses are expanded, we do recommend that the board approves an additional conditional use just to make it clear that that is a conditionally approved use on the property. So we have included that. Again, that does not affect the current operations or current conditional use. If for some reason the board were to deny the newly requested conditional use, it does not affect the previously conditional use. And then the area variance is for the 25 feet side yard setback, and that is proposed to encroach 5 feet into the 25-foot yard setback, which requires section 7.01A. It's roughly a 20% variance request if you're doing the math. One other thing to note, as a general reminder to everyone, Orange Township recently completed a zoning code update. Essentially, these standards are the same. The 25-foot side yard setback remained in FR1, but the section number condition, saying the conditional use, it was previously conditional use in FR1, remains a conditional use, section number condition. On the following page, you can see the architectural plans, the expansion being on the left side there. Down below is the site plan of the entire property. So again, expansion is on the north side. And then exhibit 3 is the zoomed in expansion. So it's a little hard to see, but you can see the measurements there that staff has done in red. So the 25-foot side yard setback is the second dashed line that runs through just a couple of the corners of that building. You can see the site renderings of the proposed building. That is all staff has at this time, other than to mention that the applicant did include in their application a letter from the Orange Local School District stating roughly that they had no issue with the plans as they were presented to them.
Okay, thanks. Maybe questions, Robin?
The close-up of the variance requested where you had the 4.12 feet, 1.68 feet. So that, go back to one more slide. What am I seeing? Because it's very hard to see here. I understand the blown-up view in the next slide is the building portion. What am I seeing with the parking lot on that drawing now?
Yeah, so the parking lot would encroach into the building setback, but
even further, correct?
Correct, but parking lots do not have to conform to the building setback. They are building setbacks.
Was there anything in for screening?
Sorry?
In the original, you said something about screening the bushes or whatever to help protect the neighbors.
Yeah, so that was a requirement in the old zoning code that between residential and non-residential properties, that there would be a screening requirement, and that was waived at that time.
Okay.
And then also site lighting. So seeing the standards within the zoning code, and I wasn't sure exactly, I couldn't tell within the submission with the parking lot and how that's being handled and addressed.
Yeah, so the applicant did submit for a zoning permit prior to us kind of catching that the variance would be required. I did not personally review the photometric site plan, but I believe it to be in order. Obviously, that's something we'll check at the permitting stage as well, that there's no light spillage on the neighboring property.
All right, and the foot candle spread, yeah, zero lighting. That was the one curious. I didn't know if that had been submitted because of a photometric study, but
I believe so.
Okay.
That is something that we'll review prior to approving the zoning permit. The maximum permitted foot candles on another residential property are 0.4 foot candles.
Yeah.
So it's not quite 0.0, but close.
And then following back up on the question regarding the buffer landscape screening, is there a requirement of the trees and plantings within, if you're doing impervious on the parking area, that trees be inserted within that area?
So there is now, there is in our new zoning code, but because the permit was submitted prior to the zoning change, we don't take those rules with the line.
Okay.
Explains that.
Any other questions? Okay, applicant? would you like to come forward and tell us about this submission?
Yeah, Vinny Posterer with Ethos 6576 Africa Road. You know, as the Orange Township was developing and looking at the new zoning resolution, it was our team's understanding that there was a consideration to just adjusting that setback, which is why you see a little bit that slight encroachment into this space, into the 25-foot setback. That is maintaining in the zoning resolution. It did not change, which is the reason for us requesting an area variance here of just 5 feet into that setback. We have seen that the township has approved similar and even a few greater setbacks for area variances in an FR. I'm so sorry. FR1 district, zoning district. And so that's the reasoning for requesting this area variance.
I want to just confirm for,
Yes.
for our transcriptions that you were sworn in. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay.
Yes.
I have a question simply because I can't read it. There's the building, the new part of the building, looks like it's running into a 2-section piece of something. What is that? No, go back to, it's that, whoops,
Site plan.
Oh, you just
Right
went,
there.
okay, yeah.
it's that peanut shaped thing that I'm trying to figure out right there.
Yeah, that is a retention basin for, I mean, Kyle, do you mind speaking to that a little bit more?
Yeah.
You know, a little bit more about what that purpose is.
So Kyle Weber, 350 Worthington Road, and with the Climbers Group with the civil engineers on the project. That detention basin was designed to handle a new addition that flows to that. We are not modifying the existing on the south end. It worked better to create something on the north end for the new addition.
It just looked like you had 2 buildings and a lawn around it, and I couldn't figure out what the buildings were.
Yeah, you're talking to the right of the addition. There's
Yeah.
one back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the retention, our detention basin for that project.
Just one? I seem to see 2.
So those are 4 bay micro pools that are just outlined in our site plan here. It's part of the detention basin.
Okay,
It's,
as long as it's all one retention basin.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I would just like to confirm for the recording you were sworn in.
correct.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Any questions?
No. I will say though, one quick comment. The site, knowing that, did a quick search on it, that's 6.3 acres for the property. So obviously we're there for the 5-acre requirement for church or place of worship, but also the pervious and impervious there far below that requirement of the 35% for maximum for impervious or area for the parking there. Yeah, basically for the parking in the building. So that's the one good thing, at least within the development, complying with the standard on the zoning there.
Thank you. Thanks for checking that out.
Sure.
Okay, you said that's a retention basin.
Yes,
Is that safely marked off from the school?
it's a dry basin, correct?
Correct.
A dry basin, you said? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So retention, not detention.
Detention basin, dry basin.
Dry, okay.
Any questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak about this? Okay. Anyone? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve based on these factors, case number VACU 26-04 for the property located at 6861 Vale Canyon Road, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035, seeking the area variance for the Orange Township zoning resolution section 7.01-A to allow for additional encroachment of 5 feet into the required 25-foot setback on the side setback requirement.
Second?
Any discussion on the motion? Okay, ready for roll call?
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Net?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Pass?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next motion?
Based on the factors discussed in the meeting, I move to approve case number VA-CU-26-04 for property located at 6861 Dale Canyon Road, Willis Center, Ohio, 43035, seeking a conditional use under section 28.11 of the Orange Township zoning resolution to allow for the expansion of an existing conditional use for a place of worship.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Net?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Pass?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Motion carries. This is approved.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I do have a question, Ron.
Sure.
We've used the term for as long as I've been here about place of worship. But I'm looking in Article 5 on the chart, not the word chart, the chart, on permitted and conditional uses. And I see religious assembly. Is that the same designation? Is that
It is, yes.
is that the designation versus a place of worship?
Yes, it is religious assembly. I think we're all getting used to our new verbiage here.
Sorry to put you on the spot. That was my
Good question. Assembly. Okay.
You all set?
Great. All right, next case is variance case VA-26-05. This is for residential property, 7891 Fargo Lane. The applicant owners, King. Zoning is single family plan residential district. Lot size is 0.222 acres. This is seeking an area variance from rezoning case 10745 in North Orange to allow for the gable roof pavilion to go over the existing patio and encroach into 35-foot rear yard setback. It's surrounded on all four sides by single-family plan residential districts, as well as Fargo Lane, and then to the east, Courtway as well. You can see the zoomed out aerial on the next page. They're west of 23, North Orange Road. And then the zoomed in view from the auditor's website. The existing patio is to the rear of the home to the east. You can see the site renderings by the applicant there. So again, patio is existing, the pavilion would be newly constructed. And then overhead rendering view of the patio and pavilion. So this is something where measurements would indicate that the gable roof pavilion would extend 2 feet into the required 35-foot rear yard setback. That would be an approximate 6% variance request from the standards of that rezoning case. We did note when we were doing our review, zoning resolution defines a structure as anything constructed or erected with a fixed location on the ground or attached to something having a fixed location on the ground. Traditionally, concrete patios have been interpreted to meet this definition, therefore need to meet building setbacks, while paver patios have not been interpreted as structures because in theory the pavers are movable. Because the existing patio was referred to as concrete in the application, we also included the patio within the motions for the board's considerations, just to make sure that if the variance is approved, then the patio is also permitted to occur. Below, you can see the site plan with the patio pavilion drawn in on the following page. And that's the end of our analysis for now.
Any questions for Robin?
Can you put something additional on that diagram? It's too plain.
We can't retroactively, but it gets a little.
Sorry.
And if this was approved, is that, as a byproduct, approved enclosing that in?
I don't believe so. I think if there was, if there was something that was going to be built that was different from the plans that were approved in the zoning permit, then we would have to go back and do another permit.
Are these site renderings provided by the applicant?
Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay. You, Mr. King?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to tell us about your application?
Yes, ma'am. I'm T. King, 79 Fargo Lane. I haven't sworn in. So what we're planning on doing is a simple structure on the back of our house so we can enjoy our patio more with our family outside. And as I understand it, the post just come off the end, and instead of tearing up the concrete to put the post in the concrete, it caused a lot of extra time and then structure and things like that. It was just the easiest to put it off the end, and then post encroach 2 feet approximately, as I understand it, into the setback.
Are the posts set in concrete?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I would have been fine with 1 foot 11 inches, but 2 feet is.
That's a 1 inch
It's
too
a
far.
bridge- It's a bridge too far.
That does put it over percentages.
Chisel off one inch.
We'll sneak it back a little bit.
Get a crappy tape measure.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any reasonable questions?
I thought it was very reasonable.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak about this application? Okay, I don't see anyone or hear anyone. Someone have a motion?
I'm prepared to make a motion. Based on factors and discussions during the meeting, I move to approve case number VA-26-05 for property located at 7891 Fargo Lane, Lewis Center, Ohio, seeking an area variance from rezoning case numbers 10745 North Orange to allow for a gabled roof pavilion and patio to encroach 2 feet 0 inches into the required 35-foot 0 inch rear yard setback in a single-family planned residential district.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Okay, we're ready for roll call.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neville?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mr. Tress?
Yes.
Motion carries. Case is approved.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Everybody ready?
Yep.
All right, so this is variance case VA-26-06. The applicant was Andrew Ong, the property owner of the Ignition Holdings. This is property located at 10030 Columbus Pike, just over 9.4 acres. Zoning is plain commercial. This property is south of the township, just behind the Nissan North dealership, if you're familiar with the area. The applicant is requesting 5 area variances from the zoning resolution to allow for a plan of 5 warehouse buildings to encroach into the 100-foot setbacks to the west, south, and north. The warehouses are just under 9,000 square feet each. To the west of the existing buildings on the property, as well as company utilities to serve the proposed buildings, gravel laydown area. Parcels to the south and to the west of the property are owned by High Banks Metro Park, that are technically zoned FR1, necessitating the variance. In terms of the surrounding area, again, so farm residential on 3 sides. To the north is a FR1 property that is indeed residential in nature. To the south and to the west are FR1 properties, again owned by High Banks Metro Park. To the east is Plain Commercial Office District, Nissan dealership, and then the Crash Champions collision repair as well. On the following page, you can see the zoomed out and then zoomed in versions of the aerial, just on the west side of 23 there. And then on the following page there, you can see the site plan provided by the applicant. So building 1 would be encroaching to the north, that 100-foot setback would encroach 50 feet. Buildings 2, 3, and 4 would encroach 50 feet to the west, and then building 5 would encroach 50 feet to the south. So again, we've talked about standards that the numbering changed from the previous zoning resolution to the current zoning resolution. This is one of those. So the spirit of the provision is still in place, but the numbering did change. So as a reminder, anytime there's non-residential uses that abut residential uses or properties that are zoned residential, it triggers a 100-foot setback, which is usually greater than other setbacks that are found in the zoning resolution. And so when we were looking at this, the High Banks Metro Park is technically zoned FR1, which is technically a residential zone, therefore necessitating the 100-foot setback. Exhibit 2 had the preliminary elevations of the building. And then these are all the same, but it's the same language for each of the 5 buildings. They each encroach 100-foot setback. Exhibit 3 was a site photo provided by the applicant, just showing the southeastern area of the property facing north. For the analysis of the same. And then we have board analysis and approval or denial motions to the board's motion. That is all I have at this time.
Any questions for Rob?
No.
Would the applicant like to speak?
Yeah, just want to reiterate, Malcolm on 1627 Gilmore Park Ave.
And you were signing.
Yes.
Thank you.
That this is against a residential property. It's a residential 100-foot setback, but that is it's a high bank park, so it's not being used as with residential uses. That's the main reason why we're looking for a 50-foot variance.
The property to the north is a high bank.
Property north is not high bank. It is a residential. There is natural screening there. Forested area, so we're not worried about the light pollution. But yeah, high banks on the other 2 adjacent properties.
What are the buildings used for?
Chad Blend, 11055 Reynolds Road, Utica, Ohio. I'm with 10 Acre Construction. We're the design builder for the project.
Hey, you were sworn in.
And I was sworn in, yes. The buildings will be used for contractor storage. So the idea would be, equipment could be parked in there, and contractors can operate out of those buildings and store their equipment.
And I'd like to clarify where the access is to the buildings. Is it on the ends? Are there bays along the sides, or?
So the plan is for the buildings to have overhead doors for people to drive vehicles into on the gable ends, which are the short ends. And then there will also be man doors on the elevations as well for people to come in and out.
So these are rentals?
Pardon me?
These are rentals?
Yes, that would be the plan.
So if someone wants to rent this, do they rent the whole building or part of a building?
Would you guys multi-tenant the buildings or not?
Single tenant.
The single tenant buildings, so,
And there's 5.
that's right.
And you said construction equipment could be stored in there. That means either diesel or gasoline probably in the building, right?
That's correct.
Any other chemicals in the building?
Not that we're aware of at this time.
Do you have a restriction on anything?
Well, so yes, the buildings are, they're under the square footage it requires a fire suppression system. So whatever would be in there would have to fall under that restriction. That would, something would be allowed to be in a building that is unsprinkled.
How will you monitor that with your tenant?
This is a property owner, but I would think that would be something that, would be stipulated in the lease, that they would have an agreement that stipulates what would be allowed to be stored within the building, and then it would have to comply with the approved use of that.
And the building's metal frame? It's a pre-engineered metal building, or what's the structure?
It's a post-frame building, a wood post-frame
Wood
building
post-frame.
with metal siding for the sides and then a metal roof on top.
Okay.
And the access to 23 comes out beside the used car lot from Nissan North, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How much traffic do you anticipate? That's a rough, in and out there.
Yeah, and we've seen some of ODOT's plans for 23 as well.
Fair.
Having, the idea is that, the folks would come in early in the morning and mobilize to a site and then come back in the evening and leave their equipment there. So it's not going to be constant in and out. It'll be, a little bit here and there. It's not going to be like a retail or something where people are attracted to come in and out off of 23. It'll be, typically folks leaving early and coming back late at night to store the equipment.
You know what you're getting into there.
Well, yes, they operate out of there currently, so they're very familiar with, they've got a business that operates from there currently, so they're familiar with the traffic challenges.
The existing 3 buildings on the south side, were they not in the 100-foot setback already?
It would appear that they are.
I have an issue with the north side building number 1. Due to the entirely residential, even though FR1 is a residential nature on all sides. Mary T. Butts, 55.53 acres.
That was kind of why I was asking about access into the buildings. Because of the placement of that building so far to the north. There's quite a bit of room for it to move to the south, to get out of some of that.
There's an existing pond in the middle of the site that serves as a storm water basin.
If you'll
Is that
if you can show us this image,
Yeah, that's what he had.
I had that up.
it shows
Zoom in,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, sorry. It shows almost 81 feet in between the side of that and this. And it isn't even the pond, it's just kind of the circle, the oval that goes around the pond.
Oh, so you're saying they could move it in?
I'm just wondering if that was an option.
We
If you're
did,
talking about site circulation.
yes, we checked with, like, the truck maneuverability, and we did need that 50-foot setback with that building to drive in and out of it, to be able to maneuver the trucks around there.
Give me 40 acres and I'll turn this truck around.
Yeah, that is really a concern for me because I just don't see how it cuts your maneuverability if it moves to the south. Because
I was speaking
you're
on,
going in either this end, you're going in this end.
correct,
With a big truck,
correct,
with equipment,
yes.
moving it this way, how does that affect your
So
access?
when you're turning to the south, you're not able to get that turn radius when the building is moved
Because
south.
of this.
Correct,
corner.
yes.
Okay, great, that helps me understand.
Mhm.
When did you purchase this property?
22, I believe.
Is it your answer to, or at least your claim in your area variance determination factors that you were not aware of the zoning restriction when the property was purchased?
No, sir, on the south side and the west side, I believe, against the High Bank Park. We're unaware of the 100-foot setback of that being FR1.
But you're aware of the north side?
Yes.
I'm against it, at least with regard to building one. The standard for this is practical difficulties, whether the property will yield a reasonable return or any beneficial use without the variance. I think at least on the north side, the property will give you 4 buildings rather than 5 to rent out. Variance is substantial. It's a 50% variance on a 100-foot setback from a residential property. The essential character of the neighborhood will not be substantially altered unless residential homes go in there to the north of you. You purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. And whether the predicament can be obviated through some other method. Yes, it could. I'm not in favor of granting the way it's presented.
Specifically for building one.
Specifically for building one.
Any issues with the others at all? At least 5?
Not that I could be moved on. I mean, none that I could not be moved on. I should say.
And the 3 existing buildings are going to stay?
Yes,
And they're going to be rented also?
I believe they already are.
Yes. The
Okay.
property is going to maintain owner occupied though as well.
So it's a total of 8 buildings in this space.
Yes.
What is the reason behind the 45-foot separation between the buildings? If you're in and out is, let's say building 2, 3, and 4, you're in and out of those buildings through your overhead doors are east or west, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the concept of our plan here is contractors that are similar to us. We do electrical contracting and we have trucks, trailers, machines, dirty equipment that doesn't typically vibe well in the Class A warehousing space. So our concept is to find similar contractors that are looking for outside storage, lay down yard for steel, anything like that, and their trucks and trailers, excavators, skid steers that become, when they come back, they're dirty, can't always be parked inside a warehouse location. So our concept as being an electrical contractor is to offer this space to other contractors similar to our business that complement each other, providing a space that is secure, being back off of 23 with good 23 access. Because as we were searching this type of space in this area, it is very limited. So we felt like we were providing a home similar to the reason we ended up at this property was for that outside storage as well as small warehousing areas.
So is your intent to fence the entire area?
Yes. I would say 3 sides is currently fenced.
Before we go any further, can I get your name, address, and you were, firm you were speaking?
Yes. Will Russman, 3363 Broad Miller Road, Delaware, Ohio, and yes, I was sworn.
Thank you. I was going to ask the same question about the fencing. So it'd be outside storage and underwood storage.
Correct.
And on the north side, you talked about the natural buffer that is provided on the property next door. Is any of that green space, the woods, is any of that yours on your property?
About 2 feet.
One thing too regarding the separation of your buildings, I don't know as far as you're doing combustible construction, so you have a separation requirement for those buildings. Has that been determined by your architect or whoever on that spacing? Is that anything that's germane to that being combustible construction?
The spacing is over the required.
Or that required separation on the buildings?
It'd be 20 feet.
20 feet, great, thank you. Okay.
Can you talk a little bit more about how that outside storage works for each building? Is it, so if I rent building 3, where is my allotted storage space outside? Is it,
It would be adjacent to your building. There'll be a gravel drive where you can park and lay material down if you want to lay material down.
so would it be on the sides and the back?
It would typically be on the sides because the front and back would have overhead doors, so you would
Okay.
use to block those overhead doors and equipment or material stored there.
So the building to the north would just have what would that be, south storage? It wouldn't have north and south sides?
That's right, because that would be a drive.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on this application? Okay. We're ready for a motion?
Given the discussion, does the applicant want to make any alterations to the, how do we talk through that, Rob? We always struggle with this a little bit.
Sure, I mean, so you can ask if the applicant wants to revise their plan, or if they want to proceed with the vote, with the plan as shown. There would be nothing preventing the applicant from receiving a denial for one or more of the buildings and then coming back next month, with a plan. That is at the board's discretion.
So we could ask for approval for all the buildings except for one, maintaining the north 100-foot setback? Is that what you're asking?
Can you help us with that?
Yeah,
So we asked
yeah,
for
so-
compromise on building number 1 and maybe instead of 50 foot, it would be 25 foot.
In essence, they could table, correct? And then,
No.
alter, they cannot do that? Or
It's
request
not a
an
table.
extension, excuse me, then request
It's a
an extension.
continuance.
A continuance, thank you.
So the board can continue the application to the next month, and allow the applicant to come back and make changes. The applicant does have the right to request a tabling, which is, it's a bit of a legal difference, so the tabling is, continuing is to a time, date, place certain, tabling is to an indefinite time, but it could, in theory, be the next month.
But is it all or none? Can
No,
they-
so
It's individual.
yeah, so the variance requests are broken out by building. So the board has the option to deny building one, approve all the other ones, deny all the buildings, approve all the buildings, approve two, deny three.
So without them reapplying and paying the application again, they could table or ask for a continuance for one of the buildings.
Correct, you can vote on the other four.
Yeah, okay. Does that help you? Do you want a few minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get a compromise tonight on building one, or do we have to come back with a different plan at a later date? So in other words, would the board be open to, if we were to get, rather than a 50-foot reduction, a 25-foot reduction? So we could be 75 feet off of the property line.
Would you need to have that
We would have.
separate so we have a plan and all of the attachments?
So I think that ultimately that is up to the board. I think if you wanted to, we'll say the magic number is 25 feet. If you wanted to approve a 25-foot setback subject to the condition that the applicant provides an updated site plan to staff, then they might not have to come back to the next month. But if the board feels strongly that, you want to see a plan before you will approve it, then that's an option.
Okay. Then what are the
What do you
wishes
say,
of the board?
Mr.
I'm a no on 25 feet too, on the north side.
I would be okay with 25 feet.
Well, so this would be a condition of the approval.
Because I think the other buildings could
Well-
be moved closer together,
We don't need a variance.
rearranged,
We
and
move it at 100.
loosened up. This is a,
Okay.
I think it's more about storage outside the building sometimes here, because there's things open.
So just for clarification, if we move for approval on the remaining buildings, not building one, and it's placed outside the 100-foot setback, then there's no variance required for, so if you're not approving any less, and we have to just maintain the 100-foot, if we set that back, we would not need to meet again, is that correct?
Correct. If you meet the setbacks.
If you meet the
still need
setbacks.
zoning
If we make
approval.
the setbacks, then there's no reason for an additional variance meeting with the board.
That makes me question whether, if you say you're gonna move building one, you're gonna move it in 50 feet now, or however you're gonna do it, that makes me question your dimensions on what you're stating about what turnaround area you needed.
I think we would have to look at, I think we're gonna have to look at that space on site to find out whether that building stays or goes. That's gonna really determine at a 100-foot setback, whether that building,
We looked at the 100-foot setbacks and it's not feasible for what they want to accomplish. Driving in and out, the vehicle maneuverability is not feasible with that 100-foot.
Or 5 buildings.
We're talking about building one.
I mean, respectfully, perhaps that building only is, half that building has entry in one, and it's a smaller price
well,
line
that's
on it
good.
to.
That's why I'm saying if we maintain that 100-foot
Yeah.
setback, we don't need to come back, we're gonna have to probably
Reduce
reassess,
it to make it work from.
reassess that building size and location.
Right.
potentially.
Well, honestly, if you look at building 5, they're driving through a narrow channel to get to the end to access that building. There's 45 feet there, and there's a pinch point, and you've placed that building there and said that you can get in and out of it easily, apparently.
What,
I don't- not
that's not
sure.
true.
I'm not
the only-
sure.
The only one that is an actual drive-through, the only one that supports drive-through is building one. The other ones do have overhead doors on each side, but you're not gonna pull through with a trailer. So building one was the only one that supported the drive-through with a trailer scenario in our maneuverability study.
Everything else you'd have to back out to the east to get back on a road and turn.
That's correct. So building one was really our gem of an offering to the community because it had that drive-through ability.
How does everyone else feel about 25 feet versus 15?
Well, there was something else I was thinking.
Okay.
I'd rather hold it for the adjacent property owner.
I assume the adjacent property owner was reached out to, and they had no comments.
They were on the abutters list, a letter was sent, we did not receive it.
Okay.
And they own, how many acres is that property to the north?
It's a lot, and they own several
55.
parcels. So that particular parcel is 55, and then, the same property owner also owns the parcel to the north, which is 40.
Is that, an occupied residence there?
To our knowledge.
I've never seen it before.
I know, I always thought it was vacant when I drive by there every day, but, so I was actually kind of curious.
She occupies the farmhouse that's in the middle of that property.
Okay,
Mrs. Butts actually owns, I believe it's 165 acres there
oh, wow.
total, so she owns all that property, and hers is the white farmhouse next to the pastures.
For the record, the Delaware County Auditor's website, the owner occupied credit is not claimed on that southern parcel, but that doesn't mean that somebody is not.
Okay, thank you. I didn't realize that existed.
I'm surprised it's still running.
I know.
I'd like to move that we go into private deliberation.
I'll second that.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. McCoy,
Yes.
Mr. Bass,
Yes.
Mr. Dress.
Yes.
Board is moving into private deliberations.
We will make this as brief as possible. We'll be right back with you.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Well, after talking in private deliberation about this applicant and the site plan, when we consider, each plan that we consider is independent. The testimony that we receive, the information that you submit, what we hear from staff, we take all of that into consideration. And one of the things that we look at under our criteria to decide is the percentage of the variance request. And 25% is considered a significant, substantial variance. And that is one of the criteria that we can use to turn down, return, or approve an application. And with that said, we just don't feel comfortable with the site plan that we see. And we feel you may get a better result if you take a better look at it and come back with a different submission.
You have options of tabling, which is, you'll come back at some time in the future, or continuance, which would be next month.
And a continuance would not cost you anything as far as any more fees to the township, but a table
Other
would.
than time.
Yeah.
Right, but no fees.
But what would be the deadline for them to submit revised documents if it was next month?
There's no hard and fast deadline. We would ask at least 2 weeks in advance of the meeting so that we have time to review and distribute materials to the board.
And my understanding is whether you call it continuous or tabling is they can pick 2 months from now if they want to.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other thing I would like to say is building 1 and building 5 are problematic. We, amongst ourselves, talked about different things we would try. And building 5 on a 45-degree to the right would give you a better entrance. I don't know about an exit if you were going to pass through, but that would help. And we really want you to stay within that 100 feet as much as possible, because the shielding to the north may not be there in 5 years, 5 days. Anything to the south, the same way. So I don't think they're going to sell the Metro Park, so I'm not worried about that. But things change, particularly in this area. What would be your thoughts? Would you like to take a specific date next month or 2 months? We have to know to make a motion. That's the only reason we're.
So can I ask for clarification to what you guys are stating? So are you stating to maintain a 100-foot setback on south and west park locations as well? Or main priority is a 100-foot setback to the north only?
All the buildings ought to be within the 25% of the setback. So 25 feet instead of the 50.
Variance 20 foot, so split it in half, 75-foot setback.
I am not in favor of the north building being anything less than 100 feet. The other ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, as presented, I'd be more amenable to a variance up to 25% on those. You talk about a buffer between your property and the northern property. The problem is the buffer is not your buffer. That's the property owner to the north's buffer. You don't own that buffer. You don't control that buffer. And strict reading of the code is residential area versus commercial area, and that's what you've got going on here. The other questions that we have that we don't know the answer to that feed into this decision-making process is lighting. You know, you're gonna fence all this up, you got equipment stored outside. How many lights are on this property? And I'm sure that's a security issue. Cameras, everything else.
And we would like also know, have it clearly delineated on the map, where people in building 1 can store outside. What area is it? Where is it at?
2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4, 5, you know, however many buildings. Because we know the 3 existing buildings, one photo showed something outside of that. Yeah, I didn't think that was the one, but maybe it is.
No, there was a different one. It showed the pond. That's primarily.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
Yeah, that's.
Now you can see on the far left building, trucks parked, I'm sorry, it's.
On the far left.
It's probably.
We're looking for this one,
Yeah.
Okay.
so.
I don't think it's in that one.
It's going to be building right next to.
And that's what kind of prompted us to say, okay, I rent building 4, building 3, whatever it is. Where do I get to park my stuff?
Okay.
Well, that helps us understand your site circulation and where the buildings need to be. And honestly, you need to show us a hardship as to why you need the buildings located within setbacks. If you come back and they're still within the setback, and turning radius and things like that are things we consider.
Okay. Provide that.
Does that cover it?
Yeah.
I apologize, I forget, when we ask them, it's a continuance or a payment, so whatever we would ask for to come back next month, and then we would have a plan submitted, 2 weeks in advance of that. So if it's.
Is
we pay-
is
we
next
pay
month
more-
okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be a continuance.
So we would ask for then, a continuance to come back next month, and 2 weeks in advance of that, we'll have an updated plan submitted to the staff.
Okay, Robin, I'll give you the exact date.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between the two. Continuous is kicking off to the next meeting. Tabling is still a set date in the future, but it's more than one spot out.
So that date will be May 21st at 6 p.m. at 1680 East Orange Road. The time, date, place, or
The same, yeah.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I move that we grant a continuance to May what?
May 21st.
May 21st for this application.
Second.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Pass?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And just for the record, I've already submitted that I will not be here at that meeting, so you guys will have an alternate.
Fresh eye.
Fresh shot, yeah, you'll have to explain to someone new.
All right, last but not least, variance case VA-26-06, applicant Jordan Zickfus, MGM, Trade Boulevard LLC. This is the property address is wrong there, so I apologize, but it is 0 Grid Boulevard, lot size 8.267 acres. The applicant is requesting 2 area variances from the North Orange County Commercial and Office District. One for a reduction in the minimum roof slope from 6/12 to 1/4 inch over 12. In addition, the applicant is seeking an area variance for a new building to approach 15 feet to meet 150-foot building setback. New building will be a 48,000 square foot flex office warehouse. That's small office and showroom component in the front of the space, with warehouse space in the back. Height of the new building with the proposed roof slope will be approximately 37 feet tall. Building depth measuring 120 feet. Again, property address is 0 Gooding Boulevard, just north of Halfway Avenue between Gooding Boulevard and West 23. To the north, as well, on all sides, it's plain commercial and office district. To the north is North Orange and Dentistry. On the south is Halfway Avenue. To the east is 23 and Menards. Across the way, and to the west is the daycare and pediatric associates. So you can see the zoomed out and zoomed in parcel there in yellow between Gooding Boulevard and US. Exhibit 1 is the site plan, so this is flipped on its side. So on the top is Gooding Boulevard, on the bottom of that is Columbus Pike, so the north is to the right in this site plan. The setbacks are dictated by the rezoning case, which is 100747 North Orange Plain Commercial and Office District. The lots adjacent to US 23 and East Gooding Boulevard, there's a 150-foot setback from the right-of-way to US 23. All other public roads would be a 50-foot minimum setback. Side is 25-foot minimum. And then special case in this rezoning, it was approved with any lot lines adjacent to a residential district is 50 feet instead of the standard 100 feet. That does not apply in this case. So the two, you can see the site renderings, the north and south elevations. So you can see the building proposed there. So there's two, if I understand it, there's two roof pitches there. So the first, you can see the 37-foot on the right side of that upper drawing with the office, showroom, and that roof pitch. It looks like a flat roof on the other portion of the building from this elevation, but if you go to the next page, you can see the slight roof pitch, which is on that building from the east and west. So in this rezoning, and this is not something that is contained within our base zoning code, but in this particular plan district, there is a requirement that single-story buildings would be required to have pitched roofs with gable at ends. Minimum slope on that roof is to be 6/12. With materials being shingles, cedar slate, or synthetic slate, metal standing seam. Flat roofs are permitted on buildings of 2 stories or greater. So the applicant is proposing to reduce the minimum roof slope from 6/12 to 1/4/12. If you're doing the math, that is a roughly 96% variance request from the museum. And in terms of the area variance setback, that is 15 feet from 150 foot minimum right of way. That is a 10% variance request from the recent meetings. That is all I have at this time. I'll answer any questions to the board.
Any questions for Robin?
The roof slope variance. Cart first, horse first. Building code passed versus Board of Zoning Appeals on the slope. In the sense, my question is, I'm gonna ask it bluntly. Why are we approving a variance on a building roof? And you can answer me bluntly if I'm missing something here.
Well, you have not approved any variance.
No, and why would we mess with structural engineering variations on a building?
Well, so I think there's, there's different codes that come into play whenever a new building is constructed.
I'm not trying to be smart, I know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, building code, governs, things that are directly related to the architecture of the building. Building code looks at a variety of considerations. I'm not an expert in building codes, I'm not an expert in zoning codes. I'm not an expert in architecture. I defer to those who are experts in architecture to explain those things. Zoning code can influence the design of a building. Generally, the purpose of design standards as it relates to buildings and structures and zoning codes is primarily aesthetics. It's generally not related to the engineering of a building, how the building functions. It's more of a what does it look like? How does it fit into the built environment that is existing already, or the desired environment?
So when they rezoned this and it was approved at 612?
Correct, and that rezoning was approved, I believe, in 2005.
And that was perhaps because they wanted a particular look along that portion of 23?
Yeah.
That would be a good guess.
No, okay.
And we have gotten several that have been from 612 to 512. This is 5.5 or 5.25, whatever it is. That's darn near a flat roof.
Okay, well, we're going with Robin and his staff report at this point.
Yeah.
That was a good answer, that made me understand what, plus understanding it was 21 years ago that was changed.
Okay, we don't have anything else for Robin. The applicant wants to speak, and I'll just remind you, I need your name, address, and a firm you've been sworn for each person who speaks.
Okay, my name is John Hartman. I work for the Duke Companies, which is a developer. We have an architect here, our civil engineer, and an owner as well. Mr. Duffy kind of clarified what we're doing with the 48,000. Of course, I don't want to be redundant on that, but if you want to speak more about the roof, we have the architect here to speak to that.
I think I can make the answer. So Brian Geiser, Design Collective, 151 East Nationwide Boulevard, I've been sworn in. I don't know if your question's been answered, but the requirement for a sloped roof was part of that PUD approval previously, and we're seeking a variance from that. And really the main reason is for the character of the type of building. The type of building that we're looking for is an approved use for the site, but the typical architectural nature of this type of building does not have a 612 pitch roof. It's very unsustainable for this type of building as well. Not only in using materials that would be unnecessary for this type of facility, as well as heating and cooling costs in the future for the occupants of the facility as well. So there's a lot of different reasons to that, but that was kind of the primary drivers to look at reducing it. And we understand some others have looked at maybe reducing this, and we tried to do the best that we could. We've done a lot of different studies of how could this work, and we would feel the best way to move forward with it was to try to pay homage to that requirement of the sloped roof by adding the slope elements to those entry features of the different tenant spaces. Yeah. And part of that too is looking at really the context around this building. And I understand many of the buildings aren't in our specific PUD for this area, but if you look across the street, directly across the street from ours, there's a flat roof. You got Life Point Church right across the street. We've got right behind us, the daycare is not a 612, it is a sloped pitch roof, but it isn't a 612. Further south, there's another building that has a mansard style roof. It does have a 612, but it is cut off. Further south, you got Caliber Collision, is also a flat roof. So the context of the building isn't out of character for the area with what we're presenting at that point, and still trying to bring in those sloped elements to the building, through those entry features, and sloping the sides of the building with the roof slope to help pick up on that as well.
Can I go back to a question to you?
Sure.
So when this was approved 21 years ago, be a 612 roof. Would it be possible to, if I'm correct in saying that that was just a preference of style at that time, 21 years ago?
I'd say that's likely. I can't speak with any certainty to that, because it was not in this past.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Gooding House that was there, North Orange Park, there was a residential character and a scale that was in play at that point.
So the whole point of me bringing this up was, it was kind of like, what business do we have to approve the change in the roof? And now I understand that that it's possible all the way back then that wasn't a functional decision based on rezoning it that way. It was a preferred aesthetic.
Yeah.
Could possibly, 21 years ago.
If we were to maintain that 612 pitch roof on this building, that roof would be 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
So if you could, in context.
That's what I was asking. How tall is this building if you put that?
Yeah, it would be definitely out of context for
Because of the depth.
Yeah, and there is a condition in the PUD text that does allow for low slope or no flat roofs essentially, if it is a two-story building. The building itself is of the height of a two-story building. We've provided windows above the entry features that they could build a second story above their offices. Sometimes this is a speculative building, so we don't know who's going to move in yet, but there are times that people do provide second stories above their offices to maximize their footprint.
Even if there's mezzanines.
It could be a mezzanine as well. So in the way the building is currently designed, it's there to be able to support that if needed. And the height is there for the building, so the building is code-wise.
So Jeff Craig, 2730 Eddington Road. Most likely, I was sworn in, there will be a mezzanine, almost assuredly, especially given the height in the storage area behind the showroom. Most people will take advantage of that height and create a mezzanine. I don't think most people will actually add a second floor, but to Ryan's point, the height's there, and technically, I think it could be considered a two-story building, although there isn't an actual second floor.
Makes more sense to me now.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'll interject, I mean, when you're looking at the original intent of the code in the 612 pitch, for instance, they were probably very reticent against warehouse type buildings there. That's the main thing that was written in for, was they were not visualizing that being so close to a very prime property as far as North Orange Park, as far as our identity of Orange Township. So that's sensitive. And the other thing, I appreciate the fact that you're bringing those entry elements out. They have surfaced. They're projecting from the main warehouse or block of the building. So you're going to get some scale to that, and that adds some visual interest towards Route 23 with that. But did you consider it all like an idea of a mansard? And I know that's very unconventional in this type of structure, where you're bringing the profile of that parapet down on that entry facade.
We did some studies on that, and just due to the nature of the construction of the building, to add that on just becomes really cost prohibitive and just unsustainable at that point. Just the amount of steel required in framing to build that up. So what we did try to do though is, this isn't a typical metal building or precast warehouse like you have over on Corduroy, right? Times 5. So it's a neat facade with stone and wood cladding. So it is that more upgraded look than a typical warehouse building, right? So
And I want to jump in here too. I want to stress that this project, this isn't, the end user that we're targeting here is not, this isn't logistics or, heavy manufacturing or industrial. These are quasi, it's almost a hybrid between office and warehouse. And these are end users that are, value the customer, forward-facing showroom to the customer. Customer comes in, these are granite marble showrooms with storage in the back. These are, you have lighting, supply, you could have, flooring, you could also have some contractors of some kind, but these are people who value customers coming in the front, and then they have their storage in the back. This isn't, by any means, industrial is kind of a bad word, but this is not an industrial property, okay?
So you're not anticipating
We see this more, this is a very
semi-trucks.
unique hybrid kind of use here. So I want you to take that into consideration when thinking about this.
You get your semis in the back.
So
Yeah.
so are you anticipating semi-sized trucks or
Well,
smaller cube trucks?
I definitely, we've designed it for semis to have access there, but you know, some of these companies could have box trucks. This isn't, you know, again, I say it's not a logistics building. You know, there's not gonna be semis coming in and out here all the time. You know, these, if we wanna go back to my marble showroom example, you know, a couple times a week, you know, materials are coming in, that kind of thing. You know, so yes, there's definitely going to be a need. We can't build a 48,000 square foot building and just have overhead, you know, driving doors. We will need dock space, but again, it's not high intensity type of, you know, truck traffic.
And your docks are towards Gooding Boulevard.
Yeah.
So they face Gooding, and we, you know, Ryan, we spoke about that. That's kind of the need for, you know, going into the setback. You know, we asked for 10%. You know, the reason is there, it's again, the circulation for the trucks in the rear, and then to have enough space for screening. We didn't want to just put up,
Yeah, because
we don't want to,
daycare would want to look through your trucks all day.
we don't want to put cheap little, you know, arborvitae up. Maybe that's what ends up there, but we need to make a landscape bed that's, you know, wide enough that looks like a landscape bed and not just trees thrown up, you know, for screening, to get it. Because there are overhead doors and dock doors back there.
That's good.
So, again, you know, when you calculate, you know, the engineer works on all this, the landscape bed, the turning radius for the trucks, and then, you know, how much parking is needed in the front for the retail folks, you know,
Yeah.
forward-facing showroom. That's why we came up with a 15 feet into the setback.
Robin, did the North Orange residential areas receive notices? Were they within the proximity for this?
I'm not sure about the mail proximity, but I believe we did reach out to their HOAs via email.
I am really surprised we don't have any residents from that area. They're usually
the most outspoken.
They're in force. You guys are lucky.
That's because that building's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's because of what?
The building's beautiful. The building looks nice.
I'm just surprised. As long as you're talking about the trees that you have along Gooding Boulevard, is that mounted at all? To give that some height to...
That's what I was attempting to explain. You may do a good enough job. We didn't want to just, you know, when we originally calculated all this, without going into the setback out front, that landscape area, I think, was like 8 feet wide. Okay, and so an 8 foot wide landscape bed is pretty unimpressive. So we wanted to make the landscape bed wider so we could build it up and not just have, again, cheap trees thrown up along Gooding. We wanted to have more of a aesthetic to do a better job of screening the building.
I appreciate that, because
Yep.
not very many people consider that.
No.
And most of the circulation will come in off of Halfway Avenue,
Is that the?
just to the south of you.
Yeah, yes.
Now, I'm not playing on my phone, I was looking at Google Maps to give me an idea of what's going on.
If it's helpful, we have.
You're right next door to my dentist, so I know where you're at.
Yeah.
If it's helpful, we do have it that we did not submit at the time of the application, but just show some of the surrounding buildings that we talked about, if that'd be helpful for you guys to see.
Yeah, probably would.
Just make sure that Robin gets one,
Yeah.
put it in the record.
So most of these were the ones we kind of mentioned as we're talking through. It kind of shows a little thumbnail of the facilities that are nearby.
One of the people who, the homeowners that live in the area behind the condos and the single-family homes are very vocal about what goes in around them. And although they moved into an area that they knew had these commercial areas out front, they still usually give us a lot of feedback, and a lot of it is good feedback about what they want in between the big road and their homes. So I appreciate that you brought in a plan for an attractive building. That is going to have real landscaping and mounting, and I appreciate that you were willing to go into the setback on Columbus Pike in order to bring it as much as you can away from those houses, because they're the ones that are going to get to hear the dumpster and hear the trucks going in and out. It does make me feel better that you're saying that you're not anticipating it being someplace that semis roll in and out of all the time. And I'll just say
40 vans from
the
latest, greatest cooking craze,
that I will just say, just for the record, that every site that I see like this, I've lived in Orange Township for a long time, and every site that I see, they don't make the openings big enough to get the trucks in and out of the site without rolling over the rocks that they put on either side. They dig up, they go over the curb, and they make a big mess, and so then they put in big boulders there, and then the trucks drive over the big boulders.
You're right.
So
you could give them 100 feet and they would still miss it.
They still would.
Yep.
They still would. But just anything you can do there to make that big enough. I'm not an architect and I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what that amount is, but I agree, no matter how big it is.
And part of that too is there are 2 entrances on the west side of the building, so that will help the truck maneuvering that if they're going about halfway and they're struggling to make that turn for some reason, they go further north, the north entrance can turn in from there.
Yeah.
When was this property purchased?
2 weeks ago.
Wow.
We own it.
Okay, do we have any other questions for the applicants? I'll open it up to anyone from the audience, and there is no one.
I gotta say, I think they all like it.
I guess the one question I had, and I appreciate you bringing it up about the mounding. The plan though I'm seeing does not stipulate mound. It just calls for the caliper and the trees and everything. I guess we could make that as a condition.
Let's make that a condition.
All right. That's good. Okay. And finally, I mean, like I said, I do appreciate the fact of the scale and materials that you're proposing on the building. That is not going without notice. I mean, that helps on the scale, quality of the building, the approach and view from 23. So that's commendable on it. So signage is going to come as a separate, once you get your tenants in there, and we'll be probably seeing you or the tenants when that happens. But
Top signage?
yes.
Yeah, we haven't, that's one thing we haven't really put a lot of thought into, but, we're open for suggestions on that,
Some pretty good restrictions on
Yeah.
that. So when you're talking to the department about it,
That's
yeah,
fine.
15 feet height.
Floor, we're open.
You've got some control joints there in your ephes and everything, so kind of look at the code, what those are, because that can start to set up in compliance on your signage, on your scoring. That might work well to
Okay.
reinforce that. That would be the one suggestion I can
That
make.
makes sense.
I will add, with our updated zoning code, the signage restrictions haven't changed. So one of those is that the 15-foot maximum height limit has gone away. So you
Very
notice you
good.
may see fewer signage variances come before you. But that means our advice to anyone who looks to put a sign in Orange Township is follow the code.
That's right. Well, and they've made significant good changes to the sign code. And I suggest you work closely with Rob and staff to stay within the code on that, because for a long time, it was 15 feet, and it was not the right place to have signage. And so we had a lot of people come before us, and I think that there's lots of good information to get your signage in the right place now without having to come back to us for variance. Okay, we ready for motion?
I think so.
For the first one, the area variance request for roof slope, based on our discussion and the presentation given by the owner and his representatives, based on the factors that we have to consider, I move to approve case number BA-26-07 for the property located at 0 Gooding Boulevard, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035, seeking one area variance from the North Orange PCD rezoning case number 10747 to allow for the roof slope to be 1/4 inch per 12 instead of the allowed 6 inches per 12 in an area zone planned commercial and office PC district.
I'll second. Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Nett?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Max?
Yes.
Mr. Trez?
Yes.
Motion carries.
For the same reasons, the deliberation and presentation that was given to us and all of the extensive drawings, and finally somebody giving us a blueprint that was big enough for me to actually be able to read. I very, very, very much appreciate that. And based on the factors that we must consider in an area variance request, I move to approve case number BA-26-07 for the property located at 0 Gooding Boulevard, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035, seeking one area variance from the North Orange PCD rezoning case number 10747 to allow for a commercial building to encroach 15 feet into the 150 feet setback in an area zone planned commercial and office PC district.
I'll second.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Nett?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Max?
Yes.
Mr. Trez?
Yes.
Motion carries. Case is approved.
Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it, everyone.
Best of luck to you.
Appreciate it. We're excited about it.
And although we didn't put it in the motion, we probably forgot, I forgot.
Good.
We'll look forward to seeing founding underneath that.
And lots of
Check
trees.
back.
Hopefully you won't disappoint.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did too.
It's too late.
Yeah. Once the vote's taken, you're done. What's next?
Well, we had some approval of meeting minutes on the agenda. We received those minutes a few days ago, but did not get them out to you all in time, so we can pump those to the following.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else before the board? Need a motion to adjourn, please?
I so move.
Second. Third.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Nett?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Max?
Yes.
Mr. Trez?
Yes.
Thank you. Do
We're off the record.
Yes. When,
They're lucky the neighbors didn't show up.
Oh, they
Yes.
certainly are.
Because
I'm shocked.
if it was black, they would scream that it needed to be white, and if it was white, they would scream that it needed to be black.
Robin,
It's-
when they come back with the place down by that car dealership, can you give us a copy of your